November 21st, 2024 marks the first snowfall of this year. Now, as you can see behind me, it's not snowing right now, but it was snowing this morning and they're calling for more snow this evening. Obviously right now the ground's still too warm for anything to stick, but they are saying possibly tonight it could get cold enough that we're gonna get up to an inch of snow. But what it is doing is making it a muddy mess out here. And in the past, normally I'd be stuck inside on a day like today because everything is too wet and muddy to really be productive. You come out here and you spend more time making a bigger mess than what it's worth to come out here and get any work done. And it's just making me appreciate this new building that much more because the ground in underneath this roof here is nice and dry, solid, and we'll be able to work. So that's what we're gonna do today is we're gonna make some more firewood. So I have said since we put this building up, I never planned on putting gravel in underneath here because I think that gravel in a wood yard is kind of a waste of material because it's just gonna get covered with sawdust and debris and chaff off of the splitters and the processors, and you can't clean it out from gravel. Whereas right here, like it sits now, I could pull all this stuff out here, bring a box blade in and scrape this back down. But if you've got gravel, you're gonna be scraping out a lot of your gravel that you paid good money for to clean that stuff up. But one thing I do wanna do at some point here in the near future is get some gravel for this road that we've got going around here. This is all good hard packed clay right now, but when it rains and it gets soft, it does loosen up and make some mud. And if we got some gravel in here, that would make this a lot less treacherous to get around with the tractor and we'd not be tearing it up so much. We did put some gravel in, inside the building over here, and you can kind of see the difference. This isn't getting torn up at all when I'm driving over it. And over here, we're, anytime it rains, we're just tracking it up and tearing it up. So yeah, this is something I need to get taken care of before we really get into mud season here. This is just the beginning of it. So yeah, gravel on the road outside the building here, but inside the wood yard under the roof here, we're still gonna keep this just a dirt floor. Now, I do wanna go ahead and start making some more firewood with the Japa today, but before we do that, I've got a bunch of offcuts that we need to get split up with the Eastonmade Axis. So my typical game plan for when I'm making wood is, I bring the logs in off the live deck. I always call it a live deck. It's not a live deck, it's a log deck. A live deck would have chains that would advance the logs. This is a gravity feed log deck. As it's coming through, I get down to the last final cut, and then a lot of the pieces that come off are short little cookies like this, or they're just not full 16-inch firewood. Or sometimes, the end of the log might be a little bit punky or something if the stump of the tree was dead and rotted. So I'll throw anything that's, not my desirable saleable firewood off to the side on the Eastonmade Axis here, and I'll split this up at a later date and make some, wood heat for inside the shop or something like that. It's a good way to not let this stuff go to waste. So, and you can see right now we're pretty well backed up with offcuts that we need to get processed up out of the way so that we can run the Japa again. All right, we got that whole area cleaned up, ready to go ahead and start making some more wood with the Japa, and we got some more personal use home heating wood for the shop ready to go. Let's go ahead and fire up the Japa and start working through some more of these logs. Well, the snow's rolling back in. I know I sound like a broken record, guys, but I can't emphasize this enough. I would not be out here making firewood right now if it wasn't for this building. Awfully nice to be in here under a roof, dry ground, getting something done. Now that is a beautiful sight. I gotta say, I think this is probably the best looking firewood I have ever made. Not necessarily the best looking firewood, it's the same firewood I've always made, but this is the best packaged firewood Got it all stacked nice and neat, tucked in under here under a roof, double stacked in the IBC totes. That is a beautiful looking wall of firewood. But I've got a question for you guys. My whole thought with getting these baskets lined up underneath the roof here is I wanted this stuff to look as close to what Matt gets coming out of his kiln that I've showed you guys in the past. You know, having that nice fresh cut edge looking firewood. It just looks nicer. For people who don't know a lot about firewood, when they see a piece of wood that is gray and seasoned and looks like that, you know, they might think, oh, it's dry rotted or it's punky or it's old. Well, anybody who knows firewood knows that that means that it's dried and seasoned more. But to the untrained eye, or somebody who's not really accustomed to dealing with firewood, they would think that this looks more premium than the gray, dried, seasoned stuff. So my hope here is that by stacking it in under a roof, getting it out of the sun and rain, that it's going to preserve that look. And in a year, when it's all dried out and ready to sell, it will still look like this. But the one problem that I've noticed already is that, you know, in the dead of summer, when the sun comes up that way and comes straight up overhead, this is all going to be in the shade. It's still got good access to wind and airflow, but it should keep the sun and snow and rain off of it. But this time of the year, when the sun is low in the sky, it's actually starting to peek in under, and it's hitting the face of this bottom row. The top row I'm not worried about. That's not going to get any sun at all. But I guess my question is, what causes the wood to gray and weather like that? Is it the rain, or is it the sun, or is it both? I guess my question is, am I wasting all this valuable space? Because if the sun is still getting in underneath this roof a little bit, is it still going to gray and weather anyway because the sun is going to fade it? Or is getting it out of the rain going to help tremendously? And hopefully it'll still look like this next year. So that's my question for you guys. Now I've got a couple of questions I want to answer that we've gotten in the last couple of videos. Real quick, I did want to just show you, at the beginning of this video, you saw we resplit all of our offcuts off of the Japa. We've filled, I think, 3.5 baskets, and here's how many offcuts we got off of filling 3.5 baskets. Roughly about a quart of wood. That's all the more offcuts that came off. But a lot of people were asking, we talked about switching from the 7x14 dump trailer to the little ATV pull-behind Ultratech dump trailer here. And a lot of people said, why don't you just have it go onto the ground? Why are you having it go into the trailer here at all? And there's two reasons for that. One is it's a lot easier to stack out of the dump trailer because it's an elevated platform. And so people said, well, why don't you just make a platform that's in between the size of this and your big dump trailer? Because, my biggest problem with this is that it doesn't hold a full IBC tote worth of wood. And the reason for that is because I need that platform to be on wheels, because when I get to the bottom of all of my wood here, there's a whole bunch of scrap and stuff in the bottom of the trailer, and this is light enough and easy enough. I can actually wheel this over to the burn pit without a vehicle. I can do it by hand, wheel it over to the burn pit and get that emptied out, burn all the scrap in the bottom, and then wheel it back in by hand. So that's the deal on the Ultratech. I'm actually pretty happy with this. For a one-man operation to fill this thing up, come over and stack it, go split some more wood, come over and stack it, it keeps things from getting too monotonous. Whenever I fill that 7x14 dump trailer full of wood, it takes me probably an hour, hour and a half to stack it, and stacking wood for an hour and a half is not a lot of fun. It's nice to break up the monotony of it and split a little, stack a little, split a little, stack a little. How about that sight right there? Got the sun peeking through while the snow's falling. It's pretty cool looking. So yeah, guys, now we've got about 12 IBC totes full of wood out here. We've got about 6 inside the building. I'm gonna have to start coming up with some new places to stack it inside the building here. That works out to roughly 6 cords of wood that we've got, nice, neat, and tidy. That'll be a premium product that we offer next year, not just an outdoor seasoned wood, but hopefully an indoor seasoned wood. I'll tell you what, those guys that burn with outdoor wood boilers blows my mind, because they burn 10 to 12 cords of wood a year, depending on the winter. And what I've got stacked here, this is only probably 4 cords, and then I've got another 2 cords inside the building. So this still wouldn't put a dent in an outdoor wood boiler. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.